fixed within a couple of days to kind of nerf him down to size because he was terrifying. I still think he's incredibly good. I still think we're going to see a huge amount of presence of him in this draft. But the big question for me is, how does he affect the priority of other heroes in the draft? The bot lane meta will change significantly because you've got, Kensei, you've got Gwen, you've got Kinetic. They were kind of the three major picks in the bottom lane. Where does Silvernail fit in there is going to be a huge question mark.
Yeah, and again, part of that is, are we going to see Silvernail? Because I don't think teams are going to want to let a Kinetic or a Kensei through just to be able to ban Silvernail. So that sort of becomes then the prioritization of where you decide to put your bans targeting.
He's open.
Coming into him, he is up. He could be. I don't think he's. Again, the first pick I think could be very difficult.
I think he's pretty first pickable. I mean, people first pick Kinetic all the time, and it works out pretty decent.
True.
I would say going in,
I think Kinetic has a bit more of a range advantage over Silvernail is one of those heroes that if you get onto him, he implodes. He just gets absolutely blown up if you get onto him. That is the big.
There's a lot of outplay potential with Silvernail. They are going to lock in Arden. I think it's a safer bet. Honestly, the big thing with Silvernail is maybe we don't see him. Maybe teams are not confident in picking up the brand new hero straight away as soon as he's available. Maybe wait for other teams to feel it out first. Or maybe it's a similar thing with Anchor where we just see him later on in the draft.
Yeah, it depends on what the team has built around them and what the opponents have also picked up as well. See Flicker and Grumpjaw, so that leads me to believe a lot of early game pressure is going to be coming out from Divine Vendetta.
I mean, on the other side, Rising Lotus, they got a Churnwalker in there as well. Churnwalker is all about the early game pressure. I like that both teams starting with essentially two captains. Obviously, they won't both be in the captain role, but wherever you put them on the map, they're going to bring that utility, and it doesn't give away what you want to do with your composition. It doesn't give away your entire strategy in the first two picks. Samuel as well, just a very solid pick right now. Going up against Malene, honestly, Malene, I feel like kind of was hit or miss for the first couple of weeks, but has been rising in popularity and just can control that early game so damn well.
Yeah, that's one of the big strengths of Malene is, obviously her level 1, level 2, not necessarily the best because those cooldowns can be pretty long, but once you start getting level 3, once you have a couple of points in both of your abilities and you're able to start switching forms frequently, especially when you get that first item online, Malene just becomes incredibly strong and can start taking over and dominating a lane. And we've also seen, teams, if you don't respect the damage that Malene does early on, you can get caught off guard very heavily.
You can get blown up, but also Malene can be hit or miss. If you don't land those skill shots, kind of
hit or miss.
Huge.
Baron coming through. That's another one of these heroes that when he gets online, absolutely destroys opponents. But if you can shut him down early, he really struggles to catch up.
Definitely very tending to lean towards the late game here for Rising Lotus. I want to see them. Churnwalker doesn't really fit into that too well, but at the same time, he might be able to tide them over until they can scale on up a little bit later. Sky is the final pick there for Divine Vendetta. So I feel like I prefer Divine Vendetta's composition a little bit more. It feels a little bit more powerful earlier on in the game. It feels like you can kind of take control.
They definitely have the early game advantage on the side of Divine Vendetta, but when you get to the late game, you're talking about the Churnwalker.
If you get to the late game.
But you were talking about how the Churnwalker doesn't necessarily have that late game power, but you look at what's around him, they have a lot of AoE splash damage.
Yeah, true.
If they do get into these full 5-on-5 team fights and don't get disrupted too heavily, they win those fights very easily. So it's going to come down to a lot of the positioning from Divine Vendetta in the late game, but early on, Rising Lotus has to be able to survive till they get to that point.
Yeah, just to clarify something I've said there as well, Churnwalker isn't necessarily bad in the late game. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's just that if you're going to pick Churnwalker, it's for that early game presence. It's for the fact that you can dish out so much damage in the early game when you just chain up multiple people and your team is hitting them. That spread is more significant as a ratio earlier on than it is later. I'm kind of going too deep into that now, but definitely I'm curious to see if Rising Lotus can stall this out towards the later game. But also, I want to see how these guys are going to play the map, how we have this control across the course of the game.
Yeah, and again, I'm looking at this Grumpjaw Flicker to be a roaming sort of duo. A lot of times you think about, okay, jungler or a laner, but really we could see them just kind of grouping up and just roaming around the map finding kills.
Absolutely. We'll have to see. It's about time we jump on into this matchup. It's Rising Lotus versus Divine Vendetta to kick us off. Our very first quarterfinal of the Vainglory Premier League is underway. Let's kick it off.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first match of the day. My name's Humanist. I'm joined by the one and only Flash X. Flash, how you doing?
Humanist, I'm doing great, my man. I appreciate the kind introduction. A little bit of a slower start. I mean, we're already a minute into the game. No one in EU has died yet, but it looks like we're going to get our first engagement right off the bat.
Now, someone in the EU is going to be dying very shortly here, it does feel like. Divine Vendetta moving in as a full squad over here to secure these early camps.
Definitely a great invade. It doesn't even look like Rising Lotus is going to be able to find the counter invade. I mean, you do see Samuel in that bottom lane taking away a couple of the camps, but overall, I definitely think Divine Vendetta has the stronger early game composition. Flicker and Grumpjaw, so good, so tanky early on, going to be very hard to deal with, but I do really like the scaling coming out of the side of Rising Lotus.
Yeah, man, I'm liking this Rising Lotus composition as well. I mean, always with the Churnwalker, I love to get a couple heroes that have splash damage. That Baron, the Samuel, that's going to be super nice, not to mention what Vox can bring to the table.
I 100% agree. However, this might be a crystal-powered Baron, and if that's the case, I don't know if I'm going to be liking that too much. I don't think that that's necessarily something that is going to work out in their favor. Yes, it does have that splash damage and does synergize very well with Churnwalker, but you have these backline very mobile carries in Sky, in Malign, on the side of Divine Vendetta. That's going to be very hard for Baron to land those mortars, and that's something that might cause Rising Lotus to struggle quite a bit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how PT Lamb approaches that situation, because you kind of are like this slow moving just barrage of damage, which can be predictable and easy to avoid. Now, it's currently the weapon trans spawned up. Divine Vendetta have a nice timing to move down. This is hotly contested. Goes over to Rising Lotus, but somebody's going to be died. Vox goes down as first blood, but Rising Lotus looking to turn this one around. Foskis was able to dip out. Hook and Chain stay connected on to 2 here. Joker will go ahead and break that. Foskis looking for the road. PT Lamb is going to die over the wall. Oh, the root comes through, but he has the healing flask. That was a dangerous one to find himself in now. Rising Lotus, they're going to start at the Crystal Trant. X-Dragon has made his way over. X-Dragon has pretty decent damage. Can he secure this? Yes, he can. Nice job there.
Yeah, definitely some great counter aggression by the side of Rising Lotus. They're going to be able to pick up 1 kill on the tail end of it. I think things are going to stall out just a little bit right here. Lorelei, not a hero that we typically have seen in this captain position. However, I did play her quite a bit in scrims this week. Great kill by Sky.
Dude, that was a delicious little kill. But tell me about the scrims this week.
Sorry, the rank queue this week. Lorelei actually very strong. That pool, both the speed boost as well as the slow, has been super, super good. Especially in these 5v5 engagements, can be very hard to maneuver through these fights, and it is going to be picking up that Crucible very early on, which does scale with that pool and is going to make her very, very effective in a lot of these engagements.
So talk to me about, like, mentally, if you're picking up the Lorelei, is it necessarily more for boosting your team? Is it kind of hampering your opponent? Is it both? How does that play out?
A combination of both. It both provides help on the offensive and the defensive side. It's going to allow your team to kind of get in and out of engagements. It's very, very effective in kiting. It's going to help this weapon power Sky get in and out. And if you do see one of your carries get caught out of position, you're going to be able to have that water wall to help bail them out. And that pool, just such a strong slow so early on.
Aristocratic, you need a much larger pool, my man. He is down. That's gonna be Rising Lotus up 3-2, 5 minutes in, and you know the way you describe what Lorelei brings to the table, it kind of reminds me of just like a fully remixed Arden's kit, but it's different because Arden's very single target, but he has that like offensive and defensive capability with the Vanguard.
Yeah, Lorelei, she's going to have a little bit more. I think it's going to be able to affect a lot of people, but Rising Lotus and Divine Vendetta getting engaged upon.
Yeah, this is potentially a bloodbath here. The Joker was able to secure the Crystal Train, but it drops off and PT Lamb grabs it. X-Dragon falls. This is kind of a sloppy engage here. Karen as well. Joey Skaggs is going to go down. Rising Lotus just have to go ahead and get back onto their side of the map because they did not have control over that engagement.
Both teams trading back and forth some kills. Now that we have Ghostwing on the map, this is where teams are going to have an opportunity to kind of distance themselves, set themselves up going into this mid game. Should be very interesting to see how it plays out. It's still a relatively even game, only 1k gold separating these two teams. Again, I really do like the early game out of Divine Vendetta a lot better. They are very, very tanky. This CP Baron, though, I don't know that we've necessarily seen a ton of impact. He does have 2 kills. When those mortars do land, it is going to be
2 easy kills.
Yeah, huge bursts of damage. But as these heroes really scale up and start getting a lot more items underneath their belts, I don't know that it's necessarily going to be something that's super effective.
Well, I'm very curious to see how it's going to play out here, and I'm looking at just kind of power spikes across the board, and X-Dragon looks to be in a great place. In fact, he's currently up there with Joker hammering onto this turret. Mr. Keiko doing his best to hold that down in a 2 versus 1 situation. And also Mr. Keiko playing on the Arden. It's not really a hero I think of when I think of Keiko.
Definitely not. Jungle Arden, not something we've seen too much. I think traditionally when we do see Arden outside of that captain role, it's very much... we saw Kaz pill the weapon power, which Tasty Bacon loved last week, but Mr. Cool in a little bit of trouble.
Mr. K Cool, chill out at the base for a couple of seconds there, my man. Your turret's down. And with that, the Joker and X-Dragon can look to rotate with their team, maybe down towards this bottom half of the map here, because another engage breaking out once again. Lorelei trying to control the fight, but taking a lot of damage with the hook and chains out from Falcon. Being a great frontliner for his team thus far. I'm pretty impressed with his ability to keep these hook and chains up consistently. Oblivion comes out to snipe out the Crystal Treant, and I think Kieran will be happy about that one.
Absolutely. Yeah, Falcon has looked great on Churnwalker thus far. He understands his positioning very well. A lot of these chains, when Rising Lotus has gone kind of on the back foot in a lot of these engagements, has done a very good job of helping turn it around. Kieran, though, on Samuel, getting caught out of position. Not what you want with Ghostwing on the map.
That's not what you want at all. Unless you're a Divine Vendetta fan, and then you're like, get him! Just keep making mistakes, man. You walk in that brush, they see you. It's a pretty easy kill for this Grumpjaw. Ghost 83's been having a large impact thus far. Now, there is vision down. It won't be stolen away, though. Flicker able to secure up that Ghost Swing, and the game will move on. Where do we see the next pressure come out here on the map?
I would love to see Divine Vendetta group up and start taking down turrets as a team. This entire game, there's been many engagements spread all across the map. I really want to see them group, use this Ghostwing buff to their advantage so they can really start taking down these turrets, which is going to enable them to rotate much better across the Sovereign's Rise and, kind of swing things in their favor as the game progresses.
I mentioned X-Dragon about a minute and a half ago. Looking at the breaking point complete plus a weapon infusion in his backpack right now. This really feels like this guy is online a lot earlier than normal. Are you feeling that, or is that just me off timing here?
No, I definitely think you're right on point. Having both the Serpent's Mask breaking point and a weapon infusion in your pocket with that Ghostwing buff, like now's the time if you're Divine Vendetta to get aggressive. Group up, they're still playing really split. That being said, though, the one thing Crystal Power Baron absolutely excels at is kind of wave repulsion. He can nuke these waves down so quickly, which can actually make it very difficult to aggress, but Vox getting caught out of position.
Ion Cannon's going to connect down and bottom, but Joey Skaggs blown up. And PT Lamb will have to continue to build up some more CP to have that Ion Cannon turning around a situation like that. So 2 things repulsed by CP Baron, both waves and Flash X.
Absolutely. Divine Vendetta, I think they should have just stayed in that bottom lane and gone for that bot lane turret. They are going to rotate back into mid lane, and they're trying to get this pressure, but again, all these Porcupine Mortars coming out of Crystal Power Baron, while I don't think they're super effective, they can be super annoying.
And like, if he stays at max range, he's just throwing him into the choke point there. They're gonna move in all in biz as a team. They're fighting Falcon, and Nice trespass to reposition. He might drop here, though. PT Lamb somehow finds himself on the front side, and Mr. K-Cool drops the gauntlet. Was that a little bit late? Sure feels like it. PT Lamb's down. Mr. K-Cool is down, and Divine Vendetta will go ahead and secure that fight. And I was questioning, just like you were, like, why did these guys leave the bottom lane and not shove that turret down? But they take that fight. They make it happen.
That was the exact engagement they needed. Phenomenal Moon Cloak coming out of Flicker to set that up. Once your entire team is invisible, if you don't have vision down, you're gonna be in trouble. Unfortunately, they're not really able to capitalize on that as much as I would have liked. The mid turret is still standing. Sure, they pick up some more kills for their pocket, but they really need to try and start securing some of these objectives to really open up the map in their favor for them to continue a lot of this momentum. They have about a 2.5K gold lead, which is great, but definitely Rising Lotus is still 100% in this game. They're going to be able to swing things back as the game progresses and as they continue to scale as well. Baron has that clockwork online, so those mortars are going to be coming out even faster. He's definitely looking for some more damage to pair with that, but Divine Vendetta looking for their second ghost swing of the game now.
PT Lamb's about to get a pentakill on this CP Baron just for you, Flash, and everybody in chat. Now Falcon, he's got to tank up the front line here. He's absorbing a lot of damage in a 4-man trespass as he's able to get himself back. Oblivion, they tormented him back into the Oblivion. Who are these guys? What a play right there. That was pretty nice to see. Now Ghostwing buff still out on Divine Vendetta, but Rising Lotus moving forward, looking for a target. Does Mr. K-Cool have? No, he doesn't have that gauntlet. I'm sure he would have thrown it maybe forward here in one of these choke points if he could, but it's a nice turnaround by Rising Lotus. They secure up 1 kill and potentially look for more.
Yeah, that was a great turnaround by Rising Lotus. I really like the trespass by Falcon there. Divine Vendetta, again, their comp I think is going to fall off a little bit more compared to that of Rising Lotus, so they need to make sure that their aggression is still calculated and clean. They need to kind of regroup, get back as a team, drop those stick together pings in the map, because right now they're playing just a little bit too spread out.
They are. I was gonna ask you, like, theory crafting wise, these guys have had a couple opportunities to shove lanes, but they haven't. What would be a reason that a team chooses not to?
I don't know that it's necessarily them choosing not to, you know, really split push and spread things out. It's more of, I don't know that they have a focused game plan. Obviously, we're not on voice comms with them. It could be completely different in their voice chat. Should be very, very interesting. They have that ghost swing buff. It is unfortunately going to expire. They were unable to capitalize on it. They did get that mid turret finally, but when they are spread out like this, they need to be able to find some picks. The Moon Cloak online, looking for an engagement.
Nice scout cam down, though. That's going to be Rising Lotus staying alive. Almost a very dangerous situation. Now, moving forward aggressively, they need to continue to have vision as they move forward. Can't be caught. Falcon on the front side of the fight as usual. Trespass back. Every single time this guy, like, it feels like he's about to get blown up, and then he just fully repositions back.
Yeah, Trespass definitely a multifaceted ability. Not only does it have that stun, you just chain someone up and you can reposition it. It's as simple as that. Divine Vendetta, they need to slow things down. They weren't able to capitalize too much with that Ghost Swing buff. I think at this point, you want to just get your lanes pressed out. I think Ghost Swing, probably about a minute and a half before it comes back online. Get your lanes pushed out, get some vision down on the map, get ready to take that Ghost Swing, and then as soon as you have that Ghost Swing buff, you really need to be on the same page, communicating in advance exactly what it is that you want to go for, what it is you want to try and accomplish. If they're going to be successful, they have about a 4K gold lead, but as this Baron has the Shadow Glass now, that's a lot of damage that you do not want to get caught up in.
Rising Lotus getting zoned back by the Flicker here, but Rising Lotus also pumping out mad damage right back at Divine Vendetta. They'll respect that and go ahead and back up here. It looks like Ghost83 wants to even go ahead and port back, and this is a kind of a dangerous situation, it feels like, for both squads. These fights could go either way. Once again, Flicker trying to get some information, almost getting caught out. Joker will be able to boot himself out of this one, but are you feeling that this game's just kind of on a nice edge right now?
I think that this game is exactly where Rising Lotus wants it to be. I think they're playing their composition exactly how they need to. They just have to kite. That's all they have to do is kite. It is so hard for Divine Vendetta to try and aggress that as long as Rising Lotus is positioned well, getting through a Samuel with his Drifting Darkness going backwards and a Baron dropping those crystal-powered Porcupine Mortars is going to be so hard for them to get through. And a Churnwalker. On top of that, they need a nice Mooncloak pick, but Churnwalker getting caught out of position.
Who's caught out here now? 2 stunned up, 1 blocked off. K-Cool gonna go over the wall with the gauntlet. Can he split? It looks like he's split up at least Maleen here, but Joey Skaggs has left himself out to dry, and bottom Flicker gets out on a sliver of health. And Divine Vendetta moving in, looking for something, peering into the Drifting Dark. They'll let those Malice and Verdicts fly out. Not gonna find anybody. Iron Cannon doesn't connect either. You could see 2 kills going either way on both of those teams. Like, honestly, that was very close there. You know, I want to ask Flash, like, and you're talking about kiting here. Would it make sense to see a Frostburn out on one of these heroes?
I actually think that would be a great pickup. Definitely not an item that you see very much in the meta right now. But yeah, they're kiting so well and so effectively. You put a Frostburn on there on either the Sam or the Baron, their kite potential is going to go up exponentially. It is going to be at the expense of a little bit of damage, but I do genuinely think that would be a great pickup. You saw X-Dragon on that Sky. He got to maximum breaking point stacks, but as soon as he got slept by the Oblivion by Samuel, Kieran on the Samuel, it was just over for him. He took so much damage from 1 Porcupine Mortar and 1 Malice and Verdict that he just got absolutely blown to smithereens, and all those breaking point stacks didn't mean anything. But yeah, Rising Lotus, pick up a Frostburn. I do genuinely think that would be a great item choice for them.
Well, I think it would be pretty cool to see it come out here. The next Dragon, you know, it's a Mooncloak. They're looking for PT Lamb. Looks like they got a good night, PT Lamb.
That was the pick they needed. That's what's going to open up this game. If you are Rising Lotus, you can't be alone in your jungle. Stay grouped. Divine Vendetta immediately going to look for this Black Claw. I think that if you are Rising Lotus, you don't even contest it. Their comp should be very, very good at defending it. I mean, they've essentially been playing like that in team fights this entire game, where they just kite and kite and kite and kite. They just need to do more of the same. Sure, they might lose 1 turret, maybe 2, but I think that they're going to be able to put up a really good defense. If I was Divine Vendetta, I would probably be looking for a little bit of a split push. We do see Ghost 83 up on this top lane, but he is going to head back towards the middle, and I don't know if that's necessarily the right call.
Well, he's moving back, but also, you know, K-Cole holding down that top lane by himself, because the rest of his team can pump out that damage from range. Joey Skaggs, a little Sonic Zoom back to avoid the fish food. Good damage coming out into Blacklaw thus far. 3-man Oblivion buying a little bit more time. Well, wait for it, comes over the top as well, just trying to zone out Divine Vendetta. Falcon has some hook and chains up, Torment's back. Really, they're just kind of playing with Divine Vendetta. They kept them zoned the entire time, and that looks pretty clean.
Yeah, it's definitely a great defense by the side of Rising Lotus. That's exactly how they needed to execute it. I would have really liked to see Divine Vendetta recognize that earlier on and immediately just retreat, secure the Ghost Wing so that you at least have something to play with for the next couple of minutes. Use that buff to your advantage. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to capitalize on that. They're going to find a bunch of recalls, pick up some more item spikes. Flicker now has the Atlas Pauldron. If he's able to get on Joey Skaggs on that Vox, should be very, very effective in these team fights. But at this point, whoever wins the next big team fight, the game's going to be sprung wide open.
A lot of turrets to take on the side of Divine Vendetta. Will Rising Lotus feel like they're capable of fighting here? They're definitely letting Divine Vendetta push into them, absorb the impact, and turn it around. And they haven't gone on the offensive foot just yet. Ghostwing being taken down here. Falcon trying to move into position. He'll throw a blind hook and chain into the brush. Won't connect onto anybody. And another free Ghost. What is that? The third one? Fourth one?
It's either 3 or 4. Regardless, definitely that's what you want if you are Divine Vendetta. They need to stay grouped here. They need their Grumpjaw to go in and really front line. Rising Lotus does have that 1 scout cam, but will it be enough?
This is about to be crazy, Flash! Everybody's in the choke point. X-Dragon surreys over the wall. X-Dragon's got to stay alive. They're trying to lock onto him here. K-Cool, can he take the Sky down? Sky building up breaking point stacks. They're feeling good. The only one down is Churnwalker thus far, but people starting to melt across the board. 2 down for Divine Vendetta. Rising Lotus look like they're doing it. Ghost 83 split apart from his team. PT Lamb dropping the mortars on Joker. Joker trying to avoid them. doing a great job. Kieran on a sliver of health. Maline turns it around and blows up the Vox. Look at Divine Vendetta so low. Kieran aggressively moving in here. Oh, he's in his drifting dark, but he gets sniped out. Sniperino, Mr. Keiko. I don't know if he had Vanguard on cooldown or what, but it didn't come out.
No, unfortunately it did not. I think it had just come off. PT Lamb fortunately able to get out of there. Ghost 83 on that Grumshot was looking for him. Not going to be able to find him, but again, these fights are so even that neither team is able to find an opportunity. This could potentially be a marathon of a game if these fights continue to go back and forth like this.
The thing is like it definitely could continue to go back and forth, but every single one of these engagements, you would hope that these players are learning something. Like even if they've made a mistake in the last 3 team fights, they hopefully learned a little bit through each one of those team fights. And I would expect to not see the next few engagements turn out. Like I really feel like one of these teams is going to completely overpower the other one here very soon.
For sure. If you're Divine Vendetta, this is really what they need. They have 1 Crucible, or they have 2 Crucibles online. Unfortunately, they're not blocking both the Trespass and the Oblivion. They need to find blocks on both to allow their carries to get through that gauntlet wall and really find just an all-out engagement. This going for Black Claw though could potentially be risky.
Yeah, it's about to get crazy. Iron Cannon, big splash damage. They're fully committed, and they've got the Black Claw now. Can they get out of the fight? Because Rising Lotus is here. They're moving forward. This is the first time we've seen Rising Lotus on the offensive. Gauntlet comes down. Divine Vendetta are getting shredded. 3 heroes low. X-Dragon gets that water wall, tries to kite himself backwards. Foskis, he's gonna dip into Shadow, trying to get back. Rising Lotus, can they get on target here? They're not gonna be cleaning up these kills somehow. Divine Vendetta, oh, the Ion Cannon almost snipes out X-Dragon. That was a nice call on the positioning there. Now, PT Lamb has the teleport canceled off. Can they chase him down? Because Black Claw still marching down mid lane here. I'm gonna keep my eyes on PT Lamb because we know what's gonna happen with the Black Claw. He's going to be looking for the root here, finds the root, but his teammates have moved over. This is a great call from Rising Lotus. Will jump jets forward. They won't connect. They're not going to chase that down. Time to get back. But Armory has fallen just from Black Claw himself.
Being able to prevent PT Lamb from recalling is exactly what they needed to secure that armory. Divine Vendetta needs to try and burst down this Ghost Wing as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to do it, and Rising Lotus, recognizing that it is online, going to contest to make sure that if they do go for it, it's not given away for free. Grumpjaw, though, picking up the Rook. Not something that we have seen built too often. That extra barrier going to be very, very critical for these team fights.
Yeah, he's one of the heroes that has to, I guess he is the hero that has to be on the front line. We've seen Flicker quite a bit wind up on the front line just because he's forward scouting and kind of gets caught. But yeah, this should be a great pickup for Ghost 83. And Ghostwing is back up. Divine Vendetta grouping up here in the brush. This is where the blind hook and chain came out into this brush. Oftentimes, this is where people are going to be. This is a battle over the vision currently. Rising Lotus will be securing up this one scout camp. And moving forward here, it's Mooncloak up. Mooncloak is up, so Rising Lotus have to be careful not to be just caught by surprise.
Definitely making sure that they have their vision down where they need it. Both teams posturing a little bit aggressively. Rising Lotus, they need to start the fight and then be able to kite back. That formula has worked so well for them in this game. They are down just a little bit, but definitely making sure they're not giving away this Ghost Wing for free. Going to be very important. More infusions being picked up on both sides of the mix. Should be very interesting. Rising Lotus are in a position where they could get caught out, but they're looking for the gank onto Ghost 83, who's all by himself down in the spot lane.
Yeah, it feels like just a zoning out of Ghost 83, but they've dropped back to the Ghost Wing. Divine Vendetta have a very good idea of what's going on. Fish Food's down. Joey Skaggs just stays locked onto that Ghost Wing there. Foskis tries to make the steal, but this will be the first Ghost Wing of the game going to Rising Lotus. This is the 4th or 5th capture up here, and really clean job by them. This is, the last fight was the first time they moved on the offensive. This is the first objective on the map that they're really trying to take as a team, and they find a bit of success here. Is this the turning point potentially in the game?
Potentially could be. The sad thing about that was Divine Vendetta for the last 2 minutes had all of the buffs on the map, but Rising Lotus played it slow enough. They now have the weapon buff in the hands of their box. This is going to be the opportunity they're looking for. Divine Vendetta just not tight enough together right now and could be caught in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, Joker actually stealing that Crystal Trianto as well. Lucas trying to kite it back. No, it's the Rigu splash. Divine Vendetta in. They're looking for PT Lamb, but he gets back with a jump chest. Can he kite back through the gauntlet wall? Yes, he can. Grumpjaw gets stunned up. The rest of his team walks onto X-Dragon. They take down the weapon Sky. They take down the Flicker. Looks like Rising Lotus is doing it to me. PT Lamb, is he gonna stay alive? Yeah, he did it. What a CP Baron. Rising Lotus don't lose anybody. Divine Vendetta are going to lose at minimum 4 here. And Rising Lotus have flipped this game on its head. They're going to capture up Blackclaw and push. They're going to be getting at least 2 turrets out of this.
Rising Lotus, that's exactly what you needed to do, proving that that Ghost Wing buff so critical and important. Not afraid to pull the trigger with it. I absolutely love the gameplay. Out of 35 games so far in the VPL season open, the team that has secured Blackclaw and Ghost Wing first has not lost when you secure both of them in the same game. This could be the first time where Rising Lotus breaks that trend and is able to mount quite a comeback.
If you had to, because I'm just gonna ask you now, what are your win predictions for both of these teams? What are the win rates at for both of these teams? Like your percentage here, Rising Lotus, how much do you think that they're going to secure this game?
I don't know if necessarily they'll secure it on this push, but with the way they're positioning in these team fights and how their heroes have scaled, I probably have Rising Lotus 90%, Divine Vendetta 10%.
90%? Oh my goodness, when Flash X says a number like that, you have to believe it.
It's just going to come down to positioning. As long as they don't get caught out, as long as they maintain their vision control, they've been doing...
They canceled off his back right there. Kieran, is he going to get caught out? This would be a disaster for Rising Lotus, but they turn it around. They drop an ion cannon right on top of him. He continues to try and kite back. They've lost the Samuel. It looks like maybe a mistake. Cake will drop the gauntlet, though. PT Lamb has to try and fight on the other side of the gauntlet. He gets the jump jets over the wall, turns around the porcupine borders. Exactly what he needed to get the triple kill and turn it around. 16-16, 3 heroes down for Divine Vendetta, and Rising Lotus debating accidentally with their Samuel.
That is incredible. I thought that was the 10% chance that Divine Vendetta needed to try and get back into this game by just poor and sloppy recall out of Kieran on that Samuel. He loses his life and he's punished for it, but PT Lamb, these Crystal Power Baron mechanics have been absolutely phenomenal. He's landing all the Porcupine Mortars that he needs to, and pairing that with Churnwalker, with all these change, that is a deadly, deadly duo.
It really is, and you know, the thing is, like, even a Weapon Baron in that situation, he would have wanted to jump over that wall the same way, and that's the power of the Baron, just repositioning over these barriers on the map and just not allowing people to get onto you, to finish up, to get that kill. And I think one of the really cool mechanics in the game that I have always liked since Baron came out is the ability to just like jump jet and turn around, throwing out Porcupine Mortars behind you as you're flying.
Yeah, definitely a pretty sick mechanic. Both teams regrouping, getting their thoughts back together, collecting themselves. We do have a Ghost Wing buff on the side of Rising Lotus. They played that to their advantage super well last time. This is now their second Ghost Wing in a row. They're still down just a little bit in gold, but they are still down. They've evened up the kills, certainly not out. Again, I think the momentum definitely in their favors right now. Everyone is starting to hit these max builds, but I think that at this stage in the game, I've got to give the advantage over to Rising Lotus.
It sure feels like it right now, and momentum-wise, Rising Lotus definitely on the front foot, and I think it's just a little bit more obvious because of how they played the first 20 minutes of this game. They didn't try to do anything, they didn't push anything, they didn't try to contest barely at all, if anything, and suddenly they just flipped that switch, and you see now they're moving forward, and that's got to be a scary thing for Divine Vendetta. If you are Divine Vendetta and the first 3/4 of the game has been played this way, now you have Rising Lotus running at you. How does that change the way that you're playing?
You got to do something different. Whatever they've been doing in all previous team fights is not working. I don't know if necessarily that means Sky sells her boots for another offensive item, just trying to burst someone down, but you need to be able to find some sort of different engagement, play around your vision. Use your vision to your advantage, try and find a good moon cloak. Blackclaw, though, almost certainly going over to Rising Lotus.
Oh, they tried to find a good moon cloak, but I think they found a bad one. Potentially, though, Rising Lotus is the one popping a lot of damage. PT Lamb jump jets back, drops the Porcupine Mortars, but he's down. PT Lamb, first one to drop in this fight. Is our Divine Vendetta doing it? Aristocratic, incredibly low. X-Dragon trying to kite that, cannot do it. The Vox is the one pumping out the damage here. Now 3 heroes low. Joey Skaggs, clean up on aisle 3, go get him. No, are you gonna seriously just chase down on Foskis right now? Foskis buying so much time. Ghost 83 might make it out. They also had Aristocratic make it out. No, Ghost 83 will be cleaned up here. Joker dips down into the jungle. He's gonna get out. So 3 heroes down for Divine Vendetta, 2 heroes down for Rising Lotus, and it looks like Divine Vendetta will stay alive, but that was not the clean Mooncloak that you were talking about.
No, not at all. They started it off really well with the pick onto PT Lamb, but now it's their Vein Crystal in a little bit of trouble. And with 3, Rising Lotus gonna look to put a little bit of pressure. I don't know if this is necessarily an engagement. I guess Divine Vendetta does not have a lot of damage to try and deal with this. They're gonna be looking to close things out right here.
This is over. Just like that, man. Wow. This felt like it was actually going to be a bit of a defense, but how aggressively they moved in, and just like the first attack out of Vox, you can see this game's going to be over. Joey Skaggs really came online. Vox is the hero that we know and love, and this was quite the impressive game here. Game 1, I mean, back and forth. I can't wait to see what happens in Game 2. But to break this one down, let's go ahead and throw it back over to Munchables and Tasty Bacon.
Oh my god, what a game 1! What a way to start off our quarterfinals. Rising Lotus coming up huge right there.
We said this was going to be a fantastic matchup. On paper, these teams looked incredibly even, and on Sovereign's Rise, they looked incredibly even.
Yeah. I mean,
what a game.
I was so impressed by Rising Lotus's coordination in that game. The team fighting coming out from them, especially around the mid-game, when they were just kiting away some of the most beautiful gauntlets I've ever seen. Like, just the 3 carry composition, though, worked absolute wonders for them.
Yeah, and knowing their win condition here was so important. They knew, okay, we do not have the early game comp. We do not want to fight early game. And that, we heard Humanist and Flash talking about it, where they, in the early games, they weren't pushing the issue. They weren't trying to take turrets. They weren't trying to force invades into the enemy jungle. They said, all right, you know what? Let's just play our game. Let's farm up, get ourselves to that late game, and then we can start to play more aggressive.
And the really hard part for the side of Divine Vendetta was you've got 3 carries on the side of Rising Lotus, all of which scale across a fight. So even if you can dive in and finish 1 or 2 of them off, you've then got a Vox or a Samuel that's just going to clear up the fight, or PT Lamb's Baron, even scarier. Let's take a look at where we are in the bracket right now. This is obviously the end of Group C. Rising Lotus currently 1-0 up. The underdogs, according to my poll on Twitter, according to all of the analysts, like, Rising Lotus are making the upset happen right now here in Group C, and I'm curious to see if they can keep the ball rolling. Now, there was a lot we didn't quite see out of Divine Vendetta, but we have seen great stuff out of this team in the past. Let's take a look at our Rockstar Rewind of their victory in week number 2.
Yeah, this was the team I was actually so hyped on them because of the fact that they were able to take down Historic Esports in decisive fashion when Historic Esports absolutely dominated their play-in game. So it felt like, they were able to take down a team that knew how to play quick, clean, decisive games, and they were able to not only match that, but beat that. And so you saw it a little bit here in this game where they made decisive moves. Like there was one instance where they caught out Samuel and they went all in on that fight, but like you said, just
it was
not
one time.
quite able to finish off the rest of the team. That was the one where PT Lamb got that insane triple kill right around the
almost the quadra with his ultimate. That would have been beautiful. But let us know what you think as well at home. Use that hashtag VPL. Get involved in the conversation and let us know if you think Rising Lotus is going to be able to finish this series off. I want to see Divine Vendetta come back, though. I want to see more of that coordination, more of that aggressive all-in coming out from them. Let's take a look at the trending heroes right now in the VPL, though, because we've had a bit of a change-up coming on in. We've had some different heroes coming on in. Lorelei, definitely increasing in popularity. Great as a duo with Kensei, but also just seems to be more popular in general because of just the sheer protection and fights. Lance as well, coming in as a top laner. I just want to quickly, before I let you talk about this, Greg, I just want to justify the Anchor trending down. Now, I'm not saying Anchor's bad by any stretch of the imagination, but everyone's banning her. Very few teams are willing to pick her, so she's way less presence than she has had previously.
Yeah, and I want to go back to talk about the Lorelei a little bit there. You know, we heard our casters mention that it's almost like a Lance Light, or not Lance, an Arden Light, where you're able to just provide so much protection for one individual carry, but so much utility for the rest of the team as well.
Yeah.
Very similar to what the Lance does, and a fight just a little bit, squishier herself, but she also stays much further back. We've also been seeing her more as a carry, but obviously in this game was a captain, so that versatility of being able to fill multiple roles also attributing to the fact that she's seeing more and more play.
Honestly, one of the biggest things about Lorelei that I think is kind of undervalued by a lot of players is not just, obviously the water wall is amazing and the stun, but the movement speed that you can provide that also slows the enemy. The amount of peel that provides, I think, is often underestimated and kind of overlooked. She offers so much when it comes to protecting your carries.
Yeah, not just the peel, but also the engage. If you put a pool under your opponents, they're slowed, and then as you swoop in, you get that movement speed buff. So there's a lot of that. Again, the different ways that you can use the Lorelei. Going into this game for Divine Vendetta, I would actually like to see them be even more aggressive in the early game, because we talked about it, everyone kind of knew they have the better early game composition.
Yeah.
They never really took advantage of it. They got a nice kill lead, but they weren't able to take objectives off the back end.
Yeah.
That was the biggest concern for me in that game was, at one point they had like a 9-5 kill lead because they got a big team fight, got like 3 kills, but then lost a turret in the process and didn't take a turret off of the back of that fight. So I would like to see a little bit more of the turning kills into objectives.
Yeah, I think just being more proactive on the map, making sure that when you do have a little bit of a gold lead, you use that. Make sure that you're forcing, especially when you're going to flicker, you can force those fights. The second you've got that Mooncloak available, make a play. Just make that happen. We are in the draft. Let's take a look at how this has been panning out. Churnwalker and Flicker banned away. So already this changes everything. Anchor and Reservand, Kensei on one side, Kinetic on the other. Silvernail question mark? I don't want to say it before it happens, but that could happen for Divine Vendetta. But honestly, just the Kensei first pick already makes me kind of favor Divine Vendetta a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Kensei just brings so much to the table. He is absolutely a dominant force.
So scary.
Like, you don't leave Kensei up though unless you have an idea in your mind that you think this will stop Kensei. So what are they going to do on the side of Rising Lotus now to deal with this Kensei?
The struggle is, it's like, Rising Lotus didn't necessarily like purposely leave the Kensei up, because both of the bans that they've gone for are perfectly legitimate bans. It's just because Divine Vendetta went with the captain bans, they leave so much open for the pool. And, I'll take the Kinetic for Kensei trade any day of the week. I'll take Kensei 100% of the time right there. Samuel and Grumjaw are going to be locked in. I would love to see the Lorelei on the side of Divine Vendetta, that water wall as he's giving it, or a Grace as well, just to protect him as he's trying to dive onto the back line. Just does one.
Yeah, that's all they really need right now is just something to keep this Kensei alive when he goes in deep, and they've got a winning composition on their hands. So I really like what Divine Vendetta has done with this draft. On the other side, though, you've got obviously the Kinetic dishes out a lot of damage. Arden and Tony as these frontline bruisers in front of her. This could end up being one of these protect the carry compositions on the side of Rising Lotus. And when you have a ranged carry, that's the one you're trying to protect, it's a little bit easier to run that protect the carry. And you see, again, more tankiness, more bruiserness coming out from their side.
So much peel on the side of Rising Lotus. It's like Divine Vendetta is like, kill them with the Kensei. On the side of Rising Lotus, it's like, protect everyone from the Kensei. Yeah. This is going to be all about Adapt right now and how he can play this Kensei. If he can get onto the back line, got a Fortress to help him engage. If this Adagio is locked in as well, basically just got essentially 2 damage dealers. We could well see Adagio dealing some damage as well, but we'll see what they do lock in the end, but definitely all about this Kensei right now. Samuel will be following up on that damage, but
yeah, this is
Kensei's the point of
This is
focus.
looking for the, having Grumpjaw go in, take one of these bruisers off the table, and let Kensei run wild. That is the entire strategy of this Divine Vendetta composition.
Baron
Hey,
again.
Baron coming through. I mean, they needed that CP carry.
Let's talk about
PT
that.
Lamb was phenomenal with it last game.
Like, CP Baron is not something that we see all too often. Maybe it's going to be coming back into popularity, but PT Lamb did an awesome job on the CP Baron in game number 1. Let us know who you think has the better composition in this one. Hashtag VPL. Let us know who you think the favorite is. Whether or not Divine Vendetta can come back on into this series. I thought they were the favorites. But Rising Lotus are poised to take a series right now.
And they absolutely are. And you look at these compositions, I actually favor the Rising Lotus composition in a head-to-head matchup because it is going to be so difficult for this Kensei to execute the way that he needs to in order for them to get, like, they are relying so much on this Kensei hard carrying, but there's so many tools to shut down the Kensei on Rising Lotus.
I'm actually going to disagree with you on this one. I think it's going to be I think this Kensei comp from Divine Vendetta, if they play aggressive like we know that they can, should be able to win this earlier on in the matchup. It's time to jump on into this game, though. It's time to get game number 2 underway. Can Divine Vendetta stay alive right now in the tournament, or is Rising Lotus going 2-0? It's time to pass it over to FlashX and Humanist to let us know.
Welcome to game 2 in our first series of the day. We do have Divine Vendetta down 1 game against Rising Lotus. My name is Humanist. I'm joined once again by Flash X. And Flash, these drafts a little bit different here, but we do have what appears to be a CP Baron once again.
PT Lamb looking super comfortable and super confident on this Crystal Power Baron. Putting it in the mid lane, like you said, I definitely expect it to be Crystal Power once more. He started with that Crystal bit. He looked phenomenal in game 1 on it. It's one of those heroes, though, that takes a little bit of time to kind of ramp up. And if Divine Vendetta, I think that they have a little bit more of an aggressive early game composition, especially with that Fortress Grumpjaw combination. That can be very, very punishing. But Rising Lotus certainly going to want to close things out here. Looking at the draft, though, 2 heroes that we saw banned out in game 1, making it through the Kensei and the Kinetic. Those are going to be the heroes that are making the difference in a lot of these team fights.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what both of these heroes can do. And I mean, Kensei's mobility is insane. Couple that up with a Fortress. I thought we had a Fortress in the game. I just see a Shark, though, so I'm a little bit confused.
Definitely one of the newer skins hitting Vainglory. I love it. I think super cool, putting a wolf in a shark costume. Don't be deceived, though. It's still the Fortress that we know and love. The speed boost that he enables his team to get onto these backlines going to be a lot more difficult for someone like PT Lamb to kite this out, especially now that Rising Lotus doesn't have the Samuel on their side. I think it was the combination of Samuel and Baron that really made it so effective. I don't know if they're going to be able to kite as well, despite having that super tanky front line in the Arden, Catherine, and Tony.
So, like, it'll be different. I definitely feel that. I think that's a really good point you brought up. One thing that is totally different, though, is having this Tony. So they will have the ability to, like, disrupt if somebody is getting on that Baron. I think it's going to be really important to try and block that off. Kieran taking a lot of damage down the bottom. It looks like he'll be okay.
Dragon's Blood contract, such a good item to pair with Fortress. Unable to find the kill, Divine Vendetta does not want to let up. They want to make sure that they're keeping on a lot of this early game aggression. Samuel, definitely one of those heroes that is strong at all stages of the game, beginning to end. I think that he really is the standout Crystal Power mid laner. They need to be forcing these objectives. For a European game, this is starting off so slow. No kills, a lot of back and forth, not a lot of invading. Both teams just securing the jungle. Divine Vendetta, I don't know if they're shaken up from this game 1 and they don't want to, make any mistakes. With this composition, they need to be trying to press the advantage.
I definitely agree with that. The thing I'm just wondering is, like, maybe they're waiting for just a couple of items to come together. Maybe it's a certain level that they're trying to hit before they pull the trigger. Because I mean, a lot of times with early composition, some teams can put themselves into danger by forcing it before they're actually ready.
Very true. I agree with that 100%. I think that if you are comfortable on your mechanics, confident with your mechanics, you probably could press that lead in your favor. But you know, it's that they're not putting themselves at a disadvantage. That much is certainly true. But Rising Lotus in both games 1 and 2 has been doing, I think, the better job of grouping up. We see 4 in this mid lane that if Divine Vendetta gets too aggressive, they can be punished for it.
Okay, cool, and we'll find the stun onto the Joker. The Joker, will he be the first to go down? Has that healing flask in his back pocket. He'll be all right. The Rising Lotus, I really like this aggression moving down from the top half of the map to collapse into this mid lane.
Yeah, that was a great kind of bait out of the side of Rising Lotus, showing that they had 2 people stepping forward. They had the vision control, so they knew that they could play it that way. Not going to make a difference, though. Foski's on Samuel, looking to aggress and pressure this mid lane just a little bit. Not going to be finding anything, though, and I am shocked that we have 0 kills in a European game, and we're already 5 minutes in.
Well, you know, not that I know the reason necessarily, but if we're theory crafting on this, it could be, you know, we're pretty late into the tournament here, and these teams, they're getting better and better. Not only that, like they did have game 1, so there's maybe a bit of respect built up, and they feel like they need to hit, you know, those kind of power spikes before they really start to engage. But these teams, they're definitely evenly stacked up. We saw that net worth going late into the game. The kills were tied up. The overall net worth was tied up. It could have gone either way.
Divine Vendetta.
Yeah,
Stealing away.
Nice job.
Yeah, that was a great invade from them. Again, this is what they need to be doing a lot more of. The still completely even at this point. They need to find a way, as Ghostwing is coming online in less than 15 seconds. They need to find a way to kind of extend their lead. I think pressuring this bottom lane turret is a phenomenal decision on their part, and certainly a great room to open up this game just a little bit.
Turret down, looking for T2, potentially 5 heroes down in this bottom lane, and it looks like Ghost 83 is going to go ahead and port back for what? I'm not sure. Like, he's going to get up in the top, but that turret should be down by the time he gets there, right?
Yeah, I think he would have done better off just sticking with his team. They could have pressured that tier 2 turret with this next wave coming in right now, or immediately looked for Ghostwing. Unfortunately, they're not going to get either, and he's still going to lose this top turret in the process. So I definitely don't think that was the best decision.
Like, that actually hurt to watch right there. It feels like they just threw away a massive advantage.
Absolutely. They aren't going to be able to transition that into anything else like they could have. Baron, PT Lamb did have that really great ion cannon to stop that first wave pushing in. They did have another one coming in shortly behind it, but Divine Vendetta, they are going to look to start up this Ghostwing. Will be very interesting to see how Rising Lotus decides to respond.
Rising Lotus know what's happening. Falcon has eyes on the prize, and you know the thing is, PT Lamb comes in, he just dropped a couple mortars, and look at this, adapt down low. Foski's low. Yes, they have regeneration, but this means like they have to actually regenerate. Like, they have to be careful. They can't just trade blow for blow right now. Kieran makes the rotation into mid lane, stalling out some of the aggression out of Divine Vendetta there. There'll be a Crystal Trance attempted steal maybe from Falcon. Falcon spotted out. He's probably out. No, he still tangs around. He won't get it, but that was a nice attempt.
Joker.
Yeah, Attack of the Pack comes on out as the Joker lets loose the little Shark Wolves. Gauntlet comes down from Falcon, finding the stun onto 2, but Rising Lotus look like they are not really ready to commit into this. It was a zone back as the attempted Crystal Trant is taken. Oblivion comes through. No, that was actually taken by Ghost 83. Nice call. Mr. Keiko trying to run himself back here. The chase is on to Divine Vendetta. They're chasing Rising Lotus into the choke point. Look at it in there, Kinsey! Man, that was beautiful. Just Lotus striking on in 4. Now Ghost 83, gotta get back. Yes, he can do it. Oh, the charge almost enough to take Ghost 83 down, living on a sliver of health.
1 kill. Only 1 kill during all that. So many people so low on both teams. You are going to have Divine Vendetta picking up that first blood, which obviously going to help them extend, you know, an 800 gold lead. That's basically nothing. Again, as this game progresses, PT Lamb has the Spellfire online, about 1,000 gold in his pocket, going to be looking for the bases to, I think last game he went Clockwork as his second item, so that's going to be coming online pretty soon. This is still such an even game. That Lotus strike out of X Dragon was phenomenal. If he can find more of those, that is going to be a huge difference maker in a lot of these team fights. And Divine Vendetta going to be looking to pick up this Ghost Wing.
I didn't even realize that was the first blood. We were so late into the game. Vision does come out here, but Ghost Wing's captured up. Falcon's going to get himself back. I think from game 1 to game 2, Flash, I don't know if you agree with this, but X Dragon, he had great item progression and level progression on his weapon Sky. I was pretty impressed with that, but they weren't able to capitalize on it. I feel like this Kinsei, he's going to be able to get a lot more work done with.
Kinsei, definitely one of those meta, weapon power carries. I agree with you 100%. He's going to be able to get a lot more done. It's a lot more damage. I think he's a lot more mobile. Falcon, though, caught out of position.
He is. Look at that Oblivion. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah, not where you want to be when you're all by yourself. A little bit of a risky engagement. Gonna be a great opportunity for Divine Vendetta to take down this mid turret. They're gonna be able to secure this crystal treant of Rising Lotus, and that's Falcon. You had such a good game on Churnwalker in game number 1. You need to make sure that you're continuing to position well here in game number 2, or your team will suffer the consequences.
Yeah, he had burned that block a little bit early, and one of the bummers is, and we'll see, actually, the Joker taunted back. Joker taken down. Nice return kill for Rising Lotus. In fact, it felt borderline too easy. It was a bummer, especially the Falcon drops down there. Like, he had Fountain for his team. They could have flexed up and kept that turret alive for sure.
We saw the phenomenal synergy between PT Lamb and Churnwalker in game number 1. In game 2, it's going to be Kieran looking for those merciless pursuits, setting up PT Lamb for some huge Porcupine Mortars, whichever carry he decides to stun. If PT Lamb and Kieran are on the same page, can be very punishing, especially as not a lot of these squishy backline carries have hardly any shielding at this point. If they do get stunned up, they're in for a world of hurt.
Looking at items coming together across the board. Joey Skax has that breaking point on his kinetic. Over here, X Dragon has the breaking point up for Kinsei. So both of these guys ready to go toe-to-toe and fight. It's just who's going to get damage down first, who's going to start to stack up that breaking point. Right now, Divine Vendetta kind of clumped up in bottom, looking to apply some pressure onto the turret, but Rising Lotus quickly make their way down as 4. So it's kind of like a 1-0-4 from both teams as they balance this map out.
Yeah, good rotations, good map awareness, understanding that the Grumpjaw went missing. They didn't want to be caught at a disadvantage, but when they see him going for that weapon treant, that could be a little bit of an opportunity. Ghost 83, knowledgeable of the fact that they were missing, rotating over towards him. Divine Vendetta needs to be able to find a really good team fight on the back of this fortress. They really haven't had a very effective attack of the pack, but if they are able to release it and commit to an all-in engagement, Foski's on that Samuel just going straight in with the Drifting Dark, that could be a huge opportunity for them. Both dragons online at this point. Falcon again, what are you doing?
He'll throw the Vanguard into the gauntlet, just trying to reposition it, and he will successfully get himself out. A defensive ion cannon comes down, and now suddenly it feels like Rising Lotus for another minute aren't going to really be able to do anything.
Those are two huge abilities being put on cooldown. Gauntlet and Ion Cannon are really pivotal items to have in these team fights. Kieran might look for the Blast Chamber to try and steal.
Dude, get it.
Very close.
Oh, he tried for it a little too early there, and let's see, Divine Vendetta, they jump over the wall, but Rising Lotus has collapsed down upon them. Kieran, quite tanky, they're gonna try and avoid that. Look at they turn it around onto the Joker. Joker staying alive through this. Oh my goodness, Kinsei showed up to the party! I didn't know he was invited. They're gonna take 2, looking for 3. Triple kill for Kinsei as he slices and dices. Blacklaw just now getting up to the T2 turret here. They're gonna get on the first base turret as well. And look at this, Divine Vendetta have not lost anybody. This is insane from game 1 to game 2. The pace of the game and what Divine Vendetta has been able to accomplish here in the first 13 minutes. If they hang around, they're probably gonna lose a couple folks here though.
PT Lamb, great defense, stopping that Blacklaw push. preserving the game just a little bit longer. He wasn't with them at the start of the engagement. Like, that just comes down to map awareness and really Divine Vendetta understanding that they can commit 100% to that engagement with Attack of the Pack. It was beautiful. Again, you had Falcon on Arden blowing Gauntlet just too soon. They weren't able to kite out Attack of the Pack anymore at that point. They need to stick together. They need to make sure they're positioning well if they want a chance at coming back into this game. 2k gold, not a huge advantage for the side of Divine Vendetta, but going for this Ghost Wing now, that could be the next push they need to try and close out this game.
Ghost Wing will be captured up, and I wanted to, if we have a moment here, we'll see if they're going to engage or not. PT Lamb switching it up, going for the Shatter Glass instead of that Clockwork is his second item here in this game. Agree, disagree, and maybe what's the reason?
I probably tend to agree. I think that they understand that they're much more on the back foot. Clockwork, even though it is, I guess, kind of a utility crystal powered item, if you will, he needs to just be able to prevent these early game hard pushes, and throwing out bigger, harder Porcupine Mortars is going to be able to slow that down just a little bit better.
You just reminded me of bigger, harder, faster, stronger.
Yeah, that's he doesn't have the faster yet. The Clockwork will be coming on, or it is online now. So
oh my god, now he just has to get stronger.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Both teams posturing around this mid lane. Divine Vendetta pushing out this mid lane. They have that middle armory down. They need to start looking to pressure some of these other lanes, especially while they still have that Ghost Wing buff online. And Rising Lotus, they need to regroup, get into this bottom lane, and make sure they're stopping this push. Is losing 2 armories, that could spell trouble for them.
It feels like Rising Lotus don't have an answer to X Dragon right now. As soon as the fight gets started, like, he's able to just jump in, and they even engaged on him last time. Nice. A 2-man stun on this Gauntlet here. They block off the Blast Trimmer. Let's see, Kinsei copping a lot of damage. He's gonna go ahead and eat a little bit of jump back with the Lotus Strike. 2. Now looking to get back in with the Path of Ronin here. First Judgment will come on out. Kieran is the first to fall. That's not so great for Rising Lotus. In fact, a double kill. 2 kills coming through for the Joker. As K-Cool second to drop there. And Turret also taking a lot of damage in the meantime. Joey Skaggs feels like he's really not getting a lot done on this kinetic.
No, he only has those 2 base damage items, the Serpent's Mask and the Breaking Point. He really needs to get a little bit of crit into his build, or perhaps a Spell Sword to get a little bit shorter cooldowns if he wants to have these impact. With just those 2 items, he's not building enough stacks to where he can really take over a fight. X Dragon almost has that Spell Sword complete on the Kensei, and that is going to be some serious damage that Rising Lotus is going to have to take note of.
I think also like there's 2 ways of like how X Dragon is effective in these fights, because like the first one is obvious, he's doing incredible amounts of damage, and then I think the second one is what just happened in this fight right here, is that Rising Lotus know if they don't control him and or kill him, they will lose the fight. They spent a lot of time trying to zone him back, and that allowed his team to just kind of move in and pick Rising Lotus apart. I don't know if you felt that or if I was just kind of seeing things.
I definitely agree with you. I think that Rising Lotus too, Falcon actually kind of engaged in that last team fight with the Gauntlet. I would much prefer to see Rising Lotus find a little bit of a kite, especially with the kinetic, trying to allow him to build a little bit of stacks, but they're in a little bit of trouble right here.
Yeah, Falcon does not have the Gauntlet this time. Blast Trimmer is going to connect onto a few here. It's Rising Lotus potentially kiting back. PT Lamb getting damage down. Looks like the Joker might fall. No, he's able to square back just enough. Kinsei, he's in incredibly deep. They've lost the Kinsei. Now the chase is on. Boost moving forward. Joker should drop very quickly here. They want Foskis. They're putting the damage onto Foskis, and they're going to allow the Joker to slip out of this. Gauntlet comes down. They will take the Samuel as they focus fire. PT Lamb, get this shark. Dun 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 dun. PT Lamb getting juked out. The mortars are there. Oh, PT Lamb's got it. That's 4 heroes down flash for Divine Vendetta, and Rising Lotus in the late game starting to turn this around.
That's exactly what Rising Lotus needed. They were able to find a little bit of kite at the start of that fight, get their damage off, allow their kinetic to build up those stacks, and then as soon as he felt like he was ramped up, he turned things around, he turned things on. This is going to be this is going to be a great split push by the side of Rising Lotus. They're going to get this top turret, is Black Claw beats down on the mid lane.
Wow.
Divine Vendetta, gonna be very interesting to see how they decide to defend this.
So this is like not your typical split push either. A lot of times you'll see like one hero kind of split off from the team trying to get something down. They'll just let Blackclaw just do work in the mid lane. They'll take one themselves incredibly quickly, and maybe are they going to look for... I thought maybe they'd look for the flank play there. They do collapse around Blackclaw, still at 50% now, dropping down 40% health here. Is that a 5-man blast jammer? Talk about efficiency on that one. Now attack of the pack. Is this really Divine Vendetta looking for the aggression? PT Lamb, jump jets. He's on the back of his team. This is where he wants to be. Can't say moves in, but he's getting blown up by the Porcupine Horns. X-Dragon has to jump back and reposition. They've lost the Joker. Rising Lotus, they just stay clumped up right here. They're keeping the CP Baron alive. It's a double kill. Joey Skaggs is doing it, Flash. We criticized him. He said, no! I am Joey Skaggs. I will get my kills when it is most important to my team and for victory. They take 3, they lose nothing, and now we'll be knocking on the door of the base.
Joey Skaggs stepping it up big time here in game number 2. I definitely think he heard our criticism. He made the adjustments that he needed to. Rising Lotus almost certainly going to take at least one armory right here. They may even look to close out the game as Divine Vendetta is still having to respawn.
Get it, dude, get it. Divine Vendetta, you've got to do everything. Drop everything you have in here. Look at Kensei trying to hit everybody at once. When Kinetic gets onto the Vein Crystal, they've split. They don't have the focus fire. It looks like Divine Vendetta doing it. Mr. K. Cole, he stays locked onto the Vein Crystal. He says, listen to me, team. I am an experienced professional. I know how to win games. If you guys had just hit the Vein Crystal, this game would be over.
One punch, Falcon. One punch on that Vein Crystal.
Damn it, Falcon!
Out the game. Great heads up.
Team now, Flash.
Yeah,
they just tweeted it.
Rest in peace, his career. If he would have stayed and literally just hit the Vein Crystal, they would have closed out the game. Unfortunately, he headed back to base, and now Divine Vendetta have a little bit of an opportunity to turn things around. They're gonna make a great heads-up play to get onto this Ghost Wing. PT Lamb, though, he has this ion cannon. He might look to try and steal.
Dude, where's the Echo when you really need one, right?
Exactly. Rest in peace, Echo.
And Ghost Wing, still a dangerous situation. Divine Vendetta won't be getting this. Rising Lotus are alive, and this game feels more dangerous than. And look at the net worth here. Like this is insane how close this game 1 and game 2 have been.
Super interesting decisions by both teams. Rising Lotus gonna stop this Ghost Wing from completely regenerating. X-Dragon needs a big steal on the Kensei.
He's not going to be getting it, as that was a massive blast trimmer came across. Perfect timing there. And Kieran's been having a great Catherine game. Ghost 83 stunned up. A little bit of a preemptive gauntlet there, and I'm sure he will wish he could have that here as they look to make some more aggressive maneuvers.
I don't like that out of Falcon, not at all. Again, the gauntlet they need to use to try and kite out this attack of the pack. We saw PT Lamb almost get caught in a little bit of trouble in the last team fight. If they save the gauntlet, it's just another tool to help him survive and stay in the back line. I would really prefer that quite a bit more. Blackclaw going to be coming online very shortly, and with this Ghost Wing buff, Divine Vendetta in a little bit of trouble. But Falcon on this Arden without the gauntlet, that might be the opening that Rising Lotus needs.
Rising Lotus moving forward. Karen, another blast trimmer. Joey Skaggs pops a bit of damage onto Foskis on the booty as he tries to get back there. But now the turnaround, they try to get onto PT Lamb. It doesn't look like Divine Vendetta can do it. There's massive damage coming out. Jump jets back. PT Lamb just dropping the mortars home. You can't stop this guy. PT Ham taking him down. Oh, is he taken down from the mortar wound? He will go down. Samuel able to do just enough damage, and looks like Rising Lotus potentially bit off more than they could chew here. Kind of surprising. It felt like they had control of the fight. And Joey Skaggs will drop as well. Foskis and Adapt holding their ground.
Foskis keeping his team alive. That's exactly what he needed on that Samuel to stay in the pack. He got himself on the other side of the wall. He was dropping Mouse and Verdicts left and right that entire team fight. And the turnaround on Joey Skaggs, he was completely stacked up. The fact that his team wasn't tanking those Maliks and Verdicts for him, super disappointing. And I that was the opening that Rising Lotus needed. Unfortunately, they're not going to find it. And both teams going to be allowed to reset and hopefully make something of it coming up.
So there's two different fights that have been happening that I see for Rising Lotus. One, there's a successful fight for Rising Lotus when everybody stacks on top of each other because they can't focus PT Lamb down. But when, like you said, when Foskies is in that drifting dark and the Malice and Verdicts come out splashing on everybody, that completely backfires against them. They just have to be able to like position properly around the splash damage coming out there. It's worked out for them both ways, but that last one definitely backfired.
Backfired indeed. I think if Rising Lotus takes a team fight with all their big ultimates online, it should pretty easily go in their favor. They didn't have Gauntlet during that last team fight, which is very unfortunate. Both Ghostwing and Blackclaw going to be online. I think that if one team pressures one dragon, the other team might look to just try and trade it out. I think Divine Vendetta might realize that that's exactly what's happening, but the question is, which one will they commit to?
I don't know, but it feels like Joker's just hovering that attack of the pack button, ready to let loose these sharks. I didn't know sharks were pack hunters here. And Rising Lotus, they'll just continue to move down. They're kind of abusing the move speed in this river, like poking their eyes out and then just dipping back. So making sure they're not going to get caught. They do start up Ghostwing here. X-Dragon has his weapon infusion. This guy is a monster right now. He's not having the success he had in the early game, but he can get on target and still get a lot done. Gauntlet comes out early. X-Dragon trying to slice his way onto the back line. Joey Skaggs, though, kiting, applying good pressure. PT Lamb buffed up. PT Lamb just dropping the Porcupine Mortars here into the choke point. The Joker is down. Falcon's going to be the next to fall here. Joey Skaggs, big breaking point stacks. He's on the Ghost. 83. Kieran separating the team apart. But look at this Kinsey. He's chasing PT Lamb back and Mr. Keiko. X-Dragon, can he do this? He's got a lot of cooldowns. Can he Kincho himself off of the armory? No, he jumps in. The Lotus Strike is not going to be enough. Almost debated on the elite platform. He's been debated in. They've done it. They calculated. They moved him up, rounded him up like cattle and take him on down.
Great team fight out of the side of Rising Lotus. I think that they're to the base and in the game. It is, however, going to create enough space for them to certainly secure some of these dragons. They're going to look for Blackclaw first, which I actually find a little bit interesting. I think that they should have gone straight to Ghostwing. It's okay, though. It's going to open up the map
What's
for sure.
What's the reasoning behind that?
Once you have the buff, I think it allows you to control a lot of the tempo and a lot of the momentum in these team fights. Once Blackclaw starts pushing down the lane, it doesn't really give you a lot of opportunity to even go for the other dragon because it's almost like one of them ends up getting wasted. Ghost 83, though, needs to make sure he's not getting caught out of position here.
Ghost 83, you can feel by his movements that he wants to get something done. A bit of a scouting mission there. He will not be caught. X-Dragon respawns. And now Divine Vendetta, this will be the fight of your lives here. Look at 1,300 damage on that Ion Cannon. I mean, Foskies drops down below 50% health with that one ability connecting now. Karen booting forward. They will block off the Blast Trimmer. Gauntlet down, zoning out of the armory as well. X-Dragon, this is the fight. He cannot go down, has to get his damage down onto key targets here. Mr. K. Cole first to drop. They're turning it around though. The Joker's down. X-Dragon just on a sliver of health. He'll get himself back, but they've lost Foskies. That is a hero that they had to keep alive, and X-Dragon can't get in. PT Lamb is showing us that the strongest hero in all of Vainglory just might be CP Baron.
CP Baron, PT Lamb. I don't know if that's a meta pick or just something he's very comfortable with. It looked phenomenal. You know what the interesting thing is? He did not even max Ion Cannon. That was a level 2 Ion Cannon, and it was still dropping massive amounts of damage.
You know, I would not ever dare to question PT Lamb. This guy is a freaking god. And Rising Lotus coming through. They're going to take a 2-0 here up against Divine Vendetta. Divine Vendetta showing that they are a great team. But to break this one down, let's go ahead and throw it back over to our analyst desk.